Hello, you're watching UATV News, broadcasting in English around the globe. It is noon in the Ukrainian capital. I'm Oles, Gardzhuk, and here are the top stories. The black boxes from the Ukrainian passenger plane shut down in Iran will be decoded in Ukraine. This was reported by the French Civil Aviation Safety Investigation Authority. France will provide Ukraine with technical assistance, and French experts will participate in the decoding. Boeing 737 of Ukraine International Airlines, which was flying to Kyiv, was shut down on January 8th, shortly after takeoff from Tehran. All 176 people on board were killed. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani will ensure that the bodies of the Ukrainian jet crash victims are returned to Ukraine next week. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky stated this in his address. Ukraine's Foreign Affairs Ministry will send a diplomatic note with a list of all subsequent steps that Iran would need to take, including the issue of compensation. We agreed to begin joint work on decoding the flight recorders from the black boxes. We agreed on full legal and technical cooperation, including the issue of compensation. The Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine has launched criminal proceedings. The government will provide financial assistance to the families of the victims. And the Ukrainian government will pay 200,000 hryvnias to each victim's family of Boeing 737 plane crash. That's around $8,000. This is according to the country's Prime Minister Oleksiy Honcharuk. Ukraine will also control all insurance payments and provide legal assistance.
Українська держава надасть всебічну.
The Ukrainian state will provide comprehensive legal and financial support to the families of the victims. We know that the airline has already made a decision to provide compensation to the families of crew members who died in this tragedy. There has been no losses among Ukrainian soldiers over the past day on the front line. This is according to the Ukrainian military headquarters. Russian-led militants violated the ceasefire 4 times by attacking Ukrainian positions in the Donbass. They used grenade launchers, small arms, as well as prohibited 120 caliber mortars. On screen now is a map with the locations where the attacks took place. Today is the last day of English news at UATV. The Ukrainian government has decided to shut down international broadcasting and to close the Arabic, Crimean Tatar and English language departments. It's been an amazing 3 years on air, bringing you the latest from Ukraine and the region in English. In the final story this hour, let's take a look at how the last few years have been.
Dozens of Russian state media channels and propaganda outlets broadcast to the occupied territories in eastern Ukraine, as well as other parts of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. UATV was one of the few Ukrainian outlets available. It was watched both by soldiers and civilians.
These soldiers who watched us on the front line did not pay attention to the language of our broadcasting. Some of them even watched news in English. There are many soldiers fluent in English.
When the channel was launched on October 1st, 2015, it broadcasted in Ukrainian, Russian and English. Later, it was expanded and launched UATV Arabic and Crimean Tatar.
Hello, my name is Alexander Kiri. You're watching UATV News in English.
Украина в фокусе новостей на UATV. В студии Дарья Вершиленко. Здравствуйте.
Ассаламу алейкум ва рахматуллах. Нашрат ал-ахбар.
Салам алейкум, урматлы сиярджилер. Бу UATV.
Over the course of 4 years, UATV was connected to almost 400 cable networks and broadcast to nearly 30 countries in Europe, North America, Asia, Africa and the Middle East.
The concept of UATV is to convey information about what's really happening in Ukraine to the world, in particular Arabic-speaking countries, that it's not a civil conflict in Ukraine and not some disagreements between politicians, that it's a real aggression by Ukraine's neighbor.
One of the most exciting and newsworthy moments that I can remember is what happened in the Kerch Strait when the Russian Navy attacked and captured Ukrainian vessels and Ukrainian sailors. We were the first to get commentary from Ukrainian officials in English to the world.
UATV's war correspondents covered exclusive stories from the front line in eastern Ukraine. They reported about the lives of those who returned from the front line. Along with Ukrainian veterans, Anastasia Fedchenko conquered Hoverla, the country's highest mountain.
You can see the military that climbed the highest peak of Ukrainian Carpathians, which is 2,061 meters above the sea. Though they have prosthetic legs, I shared the truth with the world that Russia unfolded the war against us. The Russian aggressor invaded the territory of Ukraine.
British instructors I spoke to last year, they said actually they were learning from the Ukrainian soldiers. So it's not just them teaching the Ukrainians, it's also the other way around as well, and how this benefits both countries.
UATV's parliamentary correspondents covered firsthand the most important sessions.
За 279 рішення прийнято.
You can't even imagine what an honor it was for me to report in particular to our Russian audience about the voting of the Ukrainian parliament for the official military greeting. As the Russians call it, the Nazi slogan, "Glory to Ukraine." I had goosebumps when the MPs were voting for it.
And now the cadets of the National Academy of the Security Service of Ukraine are greeting the minister.
Commenting on these very parades became a real challenge for UATV English news presenter Oles Gardzhuk.
It was live. The parade was lasting for about 3 hours. So I was sitting in a dark room for 3 hours with my microphone being switched on the whole time. So I couldn't drink. I couldn't have a sip of water. I couldn't breathe loudly. I couldn't cough, but I wanted to.
This was not the only challenge Oles recalls. Last year, at the Ukraine Reform Conference in Canada, he and his colleague Antonin Antosha conducted over 30 interviews in just 2 days. Another news anchor, Carrie Oderman, had a chance to interview the US Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland.
The three amigos are Secretary Perry, again Ambassador Volker, and myself. And we've been tasked with sort of overseeing the Ukraine-US relationship.
Eventually, this talk was quoted by CNN, The Washington Post, and The New York Times.
The question I asked seemed like a pretty innocent question. What brings you to Ukraine? It was his answer and his choice to share with us that President Trump had given him the mandate to be a special envoy of sorts here in Ukraine that then became very, very relevant in the depositions leading up to the impeachment.
UATV stops updating news on January 13th. Instead, the Ukrainian government decided to launch a new TV channel for the occupied territories.
I clearly understand that I do not want to say goodbye to our audience. I only say see you soon, because I am sure that each of the viewers appreciates what we are doing.
Without UATV and without English language content about Ukraine going out into the world from Ukraine, you could potentially have aggressive narratives from aggressive countries being put out about Ukraine to the world. And that's what I don't want. That's what I don't want to happen.
So from the whole team at UATV, thanks for watching.
And now I would like to take a moment to say goodbye. This is my last live broadcast here at UATV. As I said, the Ukrainian government has decided to shut down international broadcasting. Nevertheless, there are more English language news outlets who write about Ukraine from Ukraine. Make sure to follow them if you want to stay informed about Ukraine firsthand. Also, I want to offer my deepest gratitude to you, the viewer, for keeping your eye on Ukraine and for sharing your time with me. These 2.5 years of seeing you every morning have passed by as if in one day only. I really hope to see you again. Goodbye.